Can Williams change their fortune and go from backmarker to midfield in 2023? Well, I mean, like, that is a question, right? They've been a backmarker for so long that it kind of feels like that is a solidified spot for Williams now. Has it been since 2019, 18 that they've been garbage? 17 was an okay year for them, but when it was Lance and Sergei Strachan, and that's specifically when I remember them being awful. And since then, they've been awful. Now, with a completely different lineup of Alex Albon and Logan Sargent, the new rookie, can they bring their fortunes into the midfield? Now, that is something I wonder as well. I don't know yet. Obviously, 2023 season isn't here yet, but we can talk about what they did in 2022 and why it went so wrong. Now, one of the biggest things that we can tell about that Williams car, the FW44, first of all, it's a pretty slick looking livery. I do like it, but it's completely black practically because it was so overweight in the beginning. They were just scraping paint off just to get those little ounces off the car to actually be able to have a couple of tenths added onto their laps. I mean, the car looked different in comparison to everybody else, with the exception of maybe like the Mercedes car, but the Mercedes had 0 side pods, so it's kind of a whole different concept. But if you look at the side of the FW44 at the very beginning of the season, it didn't have those side pods like a Red Bull or a Alpine or the Aston Martin B version, where like it goes all the way down back to the diffuser. They had something similar to what Mercedes does, where it kind of just washes it down to the middle of the car. Since then, I felt like they already had the wrong concept in the beginning of the year. McLaren actually followed that concept in the beginning, ended up changing it. Williams ended up actually changing it too. But I thought that would be a big change to their car. I genuinely thought when they went from the A version to the B version of the Williams, they would be a much faster car. What ended up happening? Absolute zero progress. Now, maybe some progress was made, but obviously your progress has to be bigger than the other teams being made around you, right? Well, it wasn't. It was probably marginal and maybe slightly better than teams like Haas and Alfa Romeo, who were probably like the bottom teams fighting with them at the end of the year. Williams needs to improve on actually having downforce in the car. As we know, the Williams car, it's a rocket ship in the straights. The only car that could actually compete with Red Bull on the straights was the Williams car. But what good is that when you can't go around any corner at full force? Alex Albon and Latifi constantly complained about the car having sliding all the time. I mean, if you watch the onboards of Alex Albon and Latifi, they're constantly jerking the wheel left and forth, left and right, trying to make something out of nothing with that car. I mean, obviously Latifi isn't a good driver, so you won't get that type of, I don't know, good feedback like you probably would from Alex Albon. Albon was giving feedback, but the car was still nowhere. And a big thing that I've noticed that I think Williams is making the mistake of is they're not keeping a driver around long enough to actually be able to make good progress in the car. George Russell seemed like he was making some progress in that car. Actually, Russell and Latifi in 2021 weren't that bad. Sure, were the circumstances way different? Yeah, we ended up reaching the final end of development stage for that year of cars that was being made. So 2021 was the last one. And we had the Williams a lot closer in pace. But in 2020, they were nowhere to be found. Not even close to the pace. So yes, they did make a big change, but 2021 still proved to be an extremely difficult year for the Williams, and only 8th was the top that they could get to. Now, they dropped back to 10th in 2022, made no progress on that B car. Can they genuinely change themselves from a backmarker team to a midfield team? I don't know. To answer the question, I really don't know if they have it in themselves to be able to make that happen. With this new lineup of Logan Sargent and Alex Albon, I tend to think to myself, was putting a rookie in the right move? They need development in the car. They obviously have done something wrong in these new regulations. They were fighting with Aston Martin in the beginning of the year in that A version of the car, but that's not really saying much considering both teams were awful in the beginning, and I didn't expect either team to be really scoring much points, and clearly that A car couldn't score anything other than an Imola. So they need to change the whole entire philosophy. I think that they're going to completely scrap what they had this year and kind of change to a car that kind of looks like probably like a Red Bull or a Ferrari. I think that they're going to completely scrap it. They're going to go for something completely different, have their own entire concept, probably following something similar to the top teams, and see if they can work off of that. But back to what I was talking about with Logan Sargent and Alex Albon. Albon now has a multiple-year contract in Williams, which to me is a good sign. They should have signed him, and they did that, which I'm finally glad that Alex has a seat and is being considered to be even longer into F1 and maybe might even put himself up with some better teams. Logan is a gamble, though. Logan is somebody that I think is a good driver. Don't get me wrong. I think he's good. What he's done in F2 has been proven to be... I mean, he's proven himself. He's really proven that he can drive a Formula car. His F1 practice sessions weren't bad. He did try in them. He did pretty well in them, especially in the Abu Dhabi session. That wasn't bad. He had all the pressure on him in the world in that last F2 race, but capitalized. He did what he needed to do. He got those points, put himself into that super licensed position, and now he's a Williams driver. But would somebody of like a Mick Schumacher probably been a better move? I think so. I think Mick would have been the better move for Williams. Would somebody like a Nico Hülkenberg would have been a better move for Williams? Yes. I partially think that's why Haas made that decision to be like, yo, Mick, hop off, man. We need to put on like a more educated driver that can give better feedback, because they're lacking in that development stage. They need driver feedback. I feel like driver feedback is a huge important thing nowadays, and that's partially why Aston Martin, I think, has gone so high up because of Vettel. Vettel has been able to bring that team from the lower end to a way higher car. I think teams like McLaren struggle exactly for that reason too. Sure, Lando can give you his input, but if both drivers aren't on the same level of being able to give that input, like Daniel Ricciardo was completely off, they were trying to fix the car to like suit Daniel Ricciardo a little bit better. I mean, that's a whole nother complicated situation, but what I'm trying to say is that this Williams team lacks in so many avenues. And I mean, the technical department, clearly, the guy making the cars these past 5 or 6 years hasn't done it right. Their new teammate pairing that they have for 2023 is young. They're underdeveloped when it comes to actually working on a car. I think Albon can bring some type of feedback. He's worked at Red Bull. Maybe he can give some type of insight on how this Williams car should perform. But it's tricky. It's tricky to say, and I still think in 2023, they will be a backmarker. I feel like the field in 2022 was close and fun to watch, but I feel like in 2023, yet again, it will be close, but I think that there will be 6 to 7 teams, super close, all fighting towards the top. 3 teams in particular, probably taking the top, but then 4, 5, 6, and 7, all pretty close within that range. But 7 or 8, 9, and 10, which I'm saying the Williams will fall under that level. I do think they will go up 1 though. I think they will be 9th in 2023. But I don't think that they're going to improve much from 2022. Let me know your guys' thoughts. I mean, I tried bringing up the driver feedback. I tried bringing up technical department being bad. And I don't think that this teammate pairing is necessarily the best teammate pairing for Williams at the moment. But let me know your guys' feedback. Please leave a like on the video, subscribe. It would mean the world, and peace.